Alright, so I'm gonna pick up from where I left off in Chenyu's Blessing of Sunken Jade. And I'm by where it's supposed to be. So let's go this way. Enter the waterfall? Adeptus energy? I mean, using the fishy? I don't know if the fishy form will reach that far. Oh, wait. Let's switch characters real quick. Alright, here we go. I can't switch yet. Oh, I didn't have to write it. Okay. Catch the lizard. Catch this lizard. Okay. Oh, look, treasure chest.
Guess this'll go into my magic pocket.
Oh, his secret base. Okay. I'm sorry, I just stole your food. Oh, one of these tortoise things.
Stabilize.
It's not on the thing. I have to wait. I have to wait for the stele to go away.
Certainly.
Okay. Oh, I just got pulled into something. This is it. It's the clue I wanted to show you before. Right here. What on Tibet is that? It's so covered in moss that Paimon can't make heads or tails of it. There wasn't any moss last time I came here. No need to worry, little Mao. It's so humid here that it's no wonder there's moss growing everywhere. There must be a way to clear it away. Clean it. Whoa. Look, traveler, look. It's a scene of ancient people attending a festival and performing a ritual. Pretty different from the festivals we have today, huh? Although the grown-ups in the city and the village all say that the Lord of Geo was the first to arrive in Chunyan Vale, I've heard that the people in the picture actually go here even earlier than he did. Or got here even earlier than he did. People back then used to throw bits of magic jade into the river, and they'd float along until they sank into the bottom. They say they saw it as a way to guarantee good weather, preventing the river from flooding, and ensure that the soil would be fertile. Based on what we previously discussed, I'm guessing the Chunyu Vale will only be fixed after we found some jade that was thrown into the river in ancient times. That makes sense, doesn't it? Whoa, you sure are knowledgeable. Was your friend also the one who told you those stories? You rule, little Mao. That's first-class guide material right there. Little Mao's a local, so of course he understands this place better than Paimon. Okay, how much do you want to bet he's actually, like, either a human form of the guardian beast thingy or, a child of it or something, just taking on a human form? Yep, and everyone will be really blessed and live happily ever after and all that. But I much prefer hearing her stories about ancient wars and battles. She told me that the warriors back then were all giants who were over 10 feet tall. The warriors of Chenyu Vale were covered in tattoos, and they had these massive jade axes that could chop a person in half in the blink of an eye. And the Millelith, led by none other than the Lord of Geo himself, were even tougher. They clad themselves in suits of armor that weighed over 1,000 pounds and fought with 100-pound spears. Apparently, everyone was at war back then, so much so that Bishu River turned crimson red. Later on, the mountains to the south became full of ghosts from that era. Even now, those who wander through the mountains might still be able to catch their singing on the wind. I don't think these stories are meant for kids. Yeah, it sounds pretty terrifying. Hot Tamong's right. You shouldn't dwell on this stuff all the time. Hey, there's no way grown-ups would tell us these stories. They always say we're too young to hear them, that they'll turn us rotten and stuff like that. But I'm old enough already. Hearing a story is not going to turn me into a monster. Besides, there aren't any adults still around who know these stories anyway. If my friend hadn't told me, I wouldn't even have known the stories about this picture. Okay, fine then. Guess we'll move on. So the grown-ups were right to say those ancient people threw the jade into the river from somewhere up high. But where exactly? And where did all the jade float off to? Well, it must have sunk to the bottom, right? It's not that simple. If it was thrown into somewhere upriver, even if it sank to the bottom, it would still be pushed downriver by the current, let alone after so many years. Besides, I've never heard talk of any ancient ritual jade being found upriver. Chenyu Vale is a small place, after all. If there had been such rumors, everyone would already know about them. You know so much. You're future scholar material for sure. But what if I don't want to be a scholar? They don't earn much more, and it sounds like no fun. Then become a traveler, just like us. What could be more fun than adventuring around the world? Seeing as we know the site of the Rain Jade right, what should we do next? Why don't we go somewhere high up and take a look? Up high. Or high up. The watchtower at Yuling Wharf's pretty high up. Okay, let's head out. Alright, let's go. Wait, are you like... Oh, you are immediately warping me away. Shit. I didn't get to finish looking at that. Look, from up here, you can clearly see how the water moves faster through those narrows, then slows down again as the river widens out. The jade must have stopped there. We should find what we're looking for there. Well, you're such a real whiz kid. Paimon's been wondering, though, what's that massive thing in the distance? The hung thing is the Jade Mouth, a legendary jade ring that adeptus threw into the water. Oh, but the river curves around there, so the current should actually speed up. But the river gradually gets wider there. Yeah, so the rapid flow around the bend might have resulted in things being deposited along the bottom of the river somewhere, around Jade Mouth. Of course, that's assuming that the course of the river hasn't been artificially altered. Not to mention, there's a fisherman's legend that goes something like, Jade shall rise from the sunken mouth, or something like that. Anyway, let's go over there and take a look around first. Compared to Little Mao, Paimon feels like she's completely out of her depth. It's because my friend is amazing. She knows everything there is to know about the mountains, and she has taught me loads, too. That's how I've learned so much. Don't worry too much about it, Paimon. Yeah, that's right. Paimon has lots of other strengths. Whatever the case, let's go down and get on a bamboo raft. Woohoo, yeah! Jade Mouth, here we come! Alright, Boatman, take us to the Jade Mouth. Alright, Jade Mouth it is. The other two, you're tourists. Well, if you're here for sightseeing, there's not money, and it just skipped on its own. Okay. Haha, you can say that. Mr. Boatman, are there any stories about the Jade Mouth I haven't heard before? Knowing you and how much you love your stories, kiddo, you must have heard them all by now. Tell me more. Alright then. Well, I've heard it mentioned that the Jade Mouth was left behind by Rex Lapis when he marched through here to save the people of Chenyu Vale. Legend has it that to prevent a naval advance from downstream, the local adepti And it went on its own again. You're making it up as you go again, Gramps. There's no way that Liua's navy came up this river. I've heard that the Jade Mouth was formed by a piece of jade left behind by a giant carp. In those days, a batty god tried to redirect the river to drown the Millilith stationed on both the banks of the Chenyu Vale, but a giant white snake and a giant carp, who were her subordinates, disobeyed her orders. The giant white snake held up. It keeps progressing on its own, and I don't have autoplay on. She threw the jade she wore here. The jade pinned the river down, and ever since we've had no more floods, and everyone can live peaceful life. Oh my god. Heh, you might understand a lot, kiddo, but you haven't seen much. Take a closer look. There aren't any. See, after it was pinned down by the jade, it's turned that river hasn't flooded, but that's also meant it hasn't been able to provide irrigation for crops. So, what was once a wide, gently flowing. I'm going to give up at this point because I'm not hitting any buttons in order to progress the dialogue. It's just progressing on its own. Like autoplay is not even turned on. So I can't even read the shit to you guys, which is very aggravating. I'm just going to chalk it up as some story about the river and just leave it at that, because I can read it if I'm not reading it aloud fast enough, but I can't read it aloud fast enough to progress it. So this is aggravating me to no end. Because I know there's people that just sit there and listen to the videos and don't actually watch them because they listen to them for like background noises and stuff. But this isn't even giving me a chance to actually read anything. Like, I'll get like 3/4 of the way through of reading like the long ones, and then it just cuts me off and goes on to the next thing. And no buttons are being hit, no autoplay is on or anything. It's just doing it on its fucking own. And it's really aggravating. Ah, there you go again. Haha, alright then, time to get off. We're here. Yeah, stop trying to force me into the next part when I'm trying to fucking read shit. Sorry, I'm just aggravated that it did that to me. Like, I can understand if I had autoplay on and that happened, but I did not. Well, here's the jade mouth, but how are we going to find all that jade underwater? Ah, so that's how it is. The springs cries ripples through the vale. The shrines depart from northeast shores. The heights and shallows in the southwestern hide. Sun and earth from each other divide. The eternal whirlpool that never turns, the beautiful jade concealed within. What's that little mouse singing about? It sounds pretty complicated. It's one of our local folk songs. I heard an old granny singing it as she was gathering herbs. It means if you look out from the center of the river to the banks on either side, you'll see two shrines hidden to the northeast and the southwest. These shrines keep the mighty whirlpool in the center suppressed. Paimon understands the last bit, so the jade is all hidden beneath the whirlpool? Yep, sounds like we're going treasure hunting. Hooray! But the area between the northeast and southwest is so huge. After all, in a broad sense, the northeast and southwest of Jademouth can include pretty much the whole world. You're always thinking outside the box, Miss Paimon, but there's no need to worry. I already have an idea where the shrines will be, because, well, my friend told me. Come on, let's go and let's roll. Hold up for a second. Does anyone else think a giant maelstrom suddenly appearing here might not be too good or too great? Oh yeah, won't that mean the boats will no longer be able to sail in and out of Yiling Wharf? Oh, don't worry about that. My friend told me that once we've done what we need to beneath the whirlpool will disappear completely. Otherwise, how would all the old boatmen carry on making a living? Wow, so it's not just a smart whirlpool, but considerate one to boot. Let's get going then.
Order guide you. Solidify.
Rise. Let the magic begin! Over here!
A round of applause!
There's no end to this.
Step right up!
I will have order. Stabilize.
Orders given. Orders received. Go. Be amazed!
Here comes the finale!
Should replace.
Oh, once I killed the bosses for this one, they all disappeared. The spring's cries ripple through the vales. The shrines depart from northeast shores. Lights and shadows in the southwest hide. Sun and earth from each other divide. The eternal whirlpool that never churns. We have found the two shrines the legend speaks of. It seems they too are related to our ancestors in the mountains. But the meaning of the folk song mentioned above remains unclear. We don't have a clue what to do here. We're just running around like headless chickens. Everyone got really worked up when they heard our comrades excavating and shipping antiques already made Big Mora. Who knows how much longer we'll need to stick around here. Oh, I got a chest.
I wonder if this chest
Now
is
to
some
check
kind of
out
trick.
the other one. Okay, so we want to go this way.
Tch.
Ha! Caught me a goat. We'll have to do this thing. Is that not right? Am I missing something? Oh, there's two more. Okay, that would do it. There we go. I don't know if it was a timed thing or what it was, but I got it.
Guess this'll go into my magic pocket.
Okay, let's warp back. Cutscene. Huh. We haven't seen the whirlpool from the song yet. What should we do next? How about giving that adeptal energy of yours a try, traveler? Alright. Let me go ahead and collect that achievement real quick. Okay, so I am actually not going to... Well, it looks like there'll be a waypoint down there. I'll go get the waypoint and then I'm going to end the recording there because I don't want to get into a point where I won't be able to do co-op or anything. Look, there's the carp. Let's collect these. Really?
This is order. Gather.
Surprise. Surprise!
And voila!
Let the magic be.
A round of applause! Now disappear! I wonder if this chest is some kind of trick.
Okay, so got that.
Guess this'll go into my magic pocket.
Probably have to follow the carp to get to the waypoint. Okay, so this is the part. Maybe I should finish following the carp. I'm almost done, so might as well. Traveler and Paimon, we meet again. And who might this be? Huh? You haven't met before? This is little Mao. He's helped us so much along the way. No, we haven't met before. But you must be a good child, little Mao. Hello, and yes, it's me. Miss, are you an adeptus? You are, aren't you? This is Adeptus Fujin. Thanks for all the help you've given Traveler and Paimon, little Mao. It's really the legendary Fujin in the flesh. I can't believe this. I've heard so many stories about you, and now I know that you're not some kind of big, slippery carp, but a lady instead, like a big sister. Big carp? Honestly, what kind of stories have you been listening to, little Mao? Ahem. One is indeed an adeptus, and as such can take forms as one pleases. This peculiar form seemed like the most approachable one for conversing with humans. From what you said, you have very unique scent, little Mao. Have you met someone in the mountains before? Someone with red eyes and a fair complexion, perhaps? Not exactly, Big says Fujin. You're not talking about one of your other friends, are you? My friend from the mountains doesn't sparkle like you do, but she's really cool. She's helped me tons and taught me loads. So it was her, after all. So your friend was an Adeptus Fujin, after all, huh? But Big Sis Fujin's my friend too now, isn't she? Of course, little Mao. I am delighted to have made friends with you. Little Mao's met another Adepti? As for whether little Mao's friend counts as an Adeptus or not, I'm not quite sure myself. After all, Adeptus is merely a title, and it's hard to say whether Adepti are even people. The word Adeptus is just like any other word, such as hero, villain, or idiot. No one is born an Adeptus, and no one shall remain an Adeptus forever. That's true. So you've met that friend of little Mao's that we were talking about, right? Indeed, but it's been a long, long time since I last saw her. So now, I suspect that I don't know her half as well as little Mao does. I'm not even sure if I still count as her friend. According to what little Mao said, his friend wants to restore nature. I would imagine so. Anyway, I must ask you all to please take this piece of votive rain jade. I had originally hoped it might remain here, the same as it as it ever was, but I never expected it to grow quite so large. Ugh, I used to love it so. This rain jade that you mentioned, or just mentioned, did it rain down or make it rain or something? Of course not. After the great changes in our geo- geology, the ancestors of the people of Chunyin Vale, lost their ability to communicate with the heavens, and lost the guidance of emissaries whose beauty was as pure as moonlight. Henceforth they began to take jade, which glowed as gently as the light of the moon, and cast it into the river. As they did this, they would pray for good omens, for fertile land, for clement weather, and for their river banks to hold strong. Over time, these rituals grew in power until one day, Big Sis Fujin, what happened next? One day, the long war to become the god who would reign over this world began. Afterward, this tradition lost all of its meaning, but though it was forgotten, its name is still passed down over generations. To cut a long story short, this piece of votive rain jade before us was the very last one to be thrown. Just as the part above the surface, when commanded by an adeptal art, can be made large enough to stop a flood, its core, too, has been swallowed by uncontrolled adeptal energy. Much of its power has dissipated into the surrounding area through the spirit veins. This power may also have affected the nearby flora and fauna, attracting and even making aberrations of them. You must be careful. What? As far as I can tell, the adaptal energy that has dissipated nearby should be sufficient to reawaken the hibernating votive rain jade. If this is the case, we're one step closer to achieving our goal of nourishing the water and soil back to health. Ahem. How should I say this? Traveler and Paimon, thank you both. You're doing an amazing thing by choosing to help me. You know, and little Mao, will you help me too? Will you help out your big sis? Of course, I want to restore nature too. Is that so? Well, that's good. You're very smart, little Mao. You'll understand everything later. All right then, let us go our separate ways for now. Once you've retrieved the adeptal energy-filled votive rain jade, we'll meet again by a deep pool shrouded in cloud and mist to the south. The south? Got it. Eh? She's gone and disappeared again. Oh well, let's just do what Big Sis Fujin said and restore this voting drain jade power. Speaking of which, what's it got to do with voting? See, you're not that much brighter than Paimon. It's votive. Oh, right. It's so complicated. Though since you mentioned it, what does votive even mean? And why is it called rain jade again? Exactly, what does it mean? Alright, so I'm going to end the recording here. I'll come back later to this area and do the collection thing. So that's going to be it for now, and I'll see you guys later.